So when we say behavior changes, like your success rate isn't like, in my opinion, isn't the 30 days or the 75 days.
Finish it.
It's long lasting.
That's right.
Like if you're changing behavior, it's a long lasting thing.
Exactly. Yeah. Not changing it for the short term, but changing it for the long term.
Exactly. I'm Rhett.
And I'm Brandon.
And we're the House Dads. Because we're dads who sell houses.
But we're also husbands, business owners, sports freaks, Christians,
Friends, marketing nerds, TV show bingers, and so many more things.
like so many of you. We're just trying to do it all, and we're trying to do it well.
And that's what we're here to talk about.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 7.
8. Just kidding. Episode 7.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Okay, welcome. It is episode 7?
Yeah, they're all starting to blend in together now.
Welcome to episode 7. That's
7.
what it says here on the sheet that we typed up. Anyway, threw me off there. But that's good. That's good. We got a great one planned for you today. Episode 7. I'm going to just keep saying that because I'm just really
You're
making
insecure
sure
now.
It is. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, but no, it's really a good one. Thank you guys so much for being here. We're going to be talking about, do 30-day challenges hurt or help?
Do they hurt or help?
Yeah, and you're right in the middle of one right now, I know, because it's still fresh in a new year, and so we're probably going to step on some toes here.
Yeah, people are right now on the verge of like, do I keep doing this? Do I stop? But they're in the midst of
Right,
it.
and
Sure.
then Lent's coming up, and all these different
It's a whole
seasons
nother
in
ball
Louisiana. It's like, hey, I'm going to give something up for a couple days. So
it's funny. Hold on. So 1 second. It's funny that our goals all the time for the beginning of the year, eat healthy,
right.
and then Louisiana's like, cool, here's some king cake. And then when you're like, okay, I can overcome that, which you probably can't.
No,
Then Girl Scout cookies come out.
Yeah.
So you're like,
perfect timing.
all down the drain.
It's everything.
Sorry.
Man, all the time. Like the only respite you get that's not like an eating season is maybe summer, because then it's just crawfish and all that, and
It's terrible.
yeah, it's just rough, man. But hey, praise God for good food.
Yeah, king cake,
Thank you.
Girl Scout cookies. Whew.
I'm over the king cake. It's not even really a temptation for me, man.
Really?
I'm honest with you. People
Oh,
bring them in the office
so
all the
yeah.
time. Like, great, that's gonna sit
If it's
there.
there, I'm gonna eat one. I'm gonna eat one of those slices.
It's going to sit there. It's going to get picked on for the next couple of weeks, and then there's going to be about a quarter of it left, and it's going to get thrown out because it's hard as a brick.
That's true.
That's what happens
true.
every time. But anyway, at least at my office and at my house. But yeah, we're going to be talking about these, 30-day or a little bit longer, even shorter term challenges. But they're all the rave nowadays. I
Yep.
mean, I hear about all these warrior fast and all these intermittent fasting, all these different things that you do for short periods of time. And one of the biggest ones that we're going to get into in a little bit is 75 hard. Everybody's
75
got to put that one on Facebook.
hard.
Yeah, I've
Yes.
seen that one quite a bit. And then I love that you created your own challenge.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about
Yeah.
that.
So basically, if you haven't heard of 75 hard, it's all the rave. Really, the past year, I haven't seen it too much lately. I think
Yeah.
people have kind of maybe gotten over the hump of that. But if you haven't heard of 75 hard, it's 75 days. Go figure.
Yeah.
But this is kind of the rules of it, right? One, you have to do 2 45-minute workouts. One of them has to be outside.
Yeah, that's where it gets tough.
That's tough. You have to drink a gallon of water a day. That alone's pretty tough. I'll
Right.
be peeing all
Constantly.
day. You have to read 10 pages. It says nonfiction, but I'm sure 10 pages
Yeah,
in general
sure.
is fine.
Right.
You have to take progress pictures, and then you have to follow a diet. It doesn't really give you specifics on a diet.
Seafood diet.
It's
Yeah, seafood and eat it.
bada boom.
Never heard that one before, huh?
So you hear these things and you're like, you see people doing them. And for me, I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to like knock a challenge. I'll see what it's about. But I was considering doing it. I'm not going to lie. I'll be transparent.
Sure.
The 2 45-minute workout things for me was tough. And the reason I didn't do it is because I'm like, if I'm going to do it, it's going to be also sacrificing
Right.
my wife,
Right.
Brandy's time. Like
Yeah.
I'm going to be like, hey, I can't put the kids to bed. I got to go work outside for
Right.
45 minutes. So.
Sorry, see you later.
But I did want to, at this time of my life last year, I forget when it was, maybe around May or so, I was like, look, I need a hard reset. I was feeling lazy. I was feeling unmotivated. I'm like, let me just create my own version
There you go.
of 75 hard. And I called it 33 medium hard.
I love it.
33 medium hard.
I
So it
love
wasn't as hard, but it was pretty challenging, right? I did 33 because it was like the day, I think the ending of that day was like before a wedding, and I was like, I want to eat
There you
whatever
go.
I want.
Right.
So I made it 33 days, and what it was, every day for 33 days, I had to wake up at 5 a.m., feet on the ground, 5 a.m. I had to run at least 2 miles a day.
That's tough, man.
I had to work out with weights 4 times a week, basically Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday for me.
Yeah.
Had to stay at or under 2,100 calories a day. So I was a little more specific with my diet.
Sure,
I thought
sure.
that was kind of vague with 75 hard. No sweets.
Wow.
no alcohol, which isn't that difficult, but read 10 pages a day and read a Proverbs a day. So
Nice. Yeah, you
1, 2,
doubled
3,
down.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8 things.
I don't know if that was medium hard. That's 33 really hard.
It was harder in some ways, easier in some
Sure.
ways.
Right.
But yeah, I got a group of guys to do it with me, and I did it for the most part.
Right.
I did it for the most part. But I will say, on day 34,
How'd you do then?
day 34 went ham at the wedding that I went to.
Yeah, you
like
went all
everything that I just kind of built up and had momentum doing, all
Went
down the
completely
drain.
away. Yeah, I've had some similar experiences. I haven't done any of these challenges. I hadn't done 75 hard or your 33 medium
Yeah.
hard.
Trademark.
Yeah, and it's funny too because just much like you though, I needed a reset, and it was at the end of 2019 going into 2020. I needed a reset, and so I was like, okay, what I'm going to do, everybody in January does 21 days of prayer and fasting, and I was like, well, that's not enough. I'm going to do 21 days of some type of fast at the beginning of every single month in 2020. So I fasted something different. Some of them were, what I ate or what I drank, and some of them were just the ways that I spent time. Like in the beginning of that year, that was when LSU was going on their national championship run, right? One of my favorite things is to listen to T-Bob and Jacob Hester in the morning on 104.5.
Uh-huh.
And so, like, the first thing that I gave up was when I got in my car for 21 days, the first 21 days of January, I listened to nothing. Didn't listen to a podcast, didn't listen to a sermon, didn't listen to music, didn't listen to the radio, just silence. I figured out how uncomfortable I was with silence.
Sounds miserable.
It was, but it was also refreshing and encouraging or whatnot. But then on day 22, I went back to all my old ways, right out the window.
Yeah.
Later that year, one of the other things, I fasted no complaining for 21 days.
Oh.
Yeah, that was really, really
It's really
challenging.
intentional, yeah.
Oh, super
I don't
challenging.
really complain sometimes on purpose. It just kind of comes out.
Exactly. And so I realized how much I had to catch myself. And then
Yeah.
probably the hardest one, because I like to enjoy
So these are 30-day challenges, but they're like every month. So it's like a year.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
I
okay.
did them for 21 days every month. And then later that year, this was probably the hardest one, was actually stop. I realized how addicted I was to caffeine. I got off for 21 days. I ate whatever, but I only drank water. And I realized, like, after day 3, I remember being in the bed at 6 o'clock. I was like, Courtney, I need you to get me some water. I can't get out of bed. I had, like, splitting massive headaches, like I was coming off of some kind of
What
like,
are the
was-
caffeine drinks? Is it energy drinks? Is it
Yeah,
coffee, or-
energy drinks, no coffee, energy drinks, Diet Coke. That's just my fix, man. That's just where
You
I
had
get
a
it.
loaded tea before?
I have.
Those things, dude.
Yeah.
Jack you.
Yeah, I had a little stint on getting some loaded teas to where even some of the ladies at the office, they'd be like, oh, well, Brandon, I'm stopping to get one. And they'd get me one.
Yeah.
Always felt a little funny getting them, but I'd get them. But what got me was the price of them. Anyway,
Yeah,
so it was just crazy.
It's a trend.
Yeah, you can get 2 monsters for the price of one. So, but, we see all these 30-day challenges and different challenges all the time. So, I mean, going into do they hurt or help?
Yeah. Yeah. Do they hurt or do they help? Of course, we kind of ask these questions. They're vague. They could go either way. But
Right.
I think we wanted to take some time to kind of look into why people even do these
Right.
challenges, right?
Right.
So I know for me, it's because I kind of wanted to detox. I wanted to reset. I needed something to just like physically, spiritually, mentally. I just needed a hard reset.
Right.
And I think some, they hear 30 days or 75 days. They want relatively quick results. They think, okay, this is going to get me what I need in a short amount of time. And even 75 days, like if you see the 75-day hard thing, a lot of people will post their progress pictures. There's not much, don't get me wrong, incredibly hard to do. I know 75 hard has a lot to do with mental toughness, but it's not a huge physical change for a lot of people. But it takes longer to do some of those things. So I think a lot of people want these challenges because they think it's pretty quick. But I think overwhelming majority of people really just kind of wanted a hard reset or a boost to get them to go somewhere else, right? So I think that kind of gets into the habit or the talk and the discussion of habits. Like people just kind of want new habits. So does it hurt or does it help? I think it's a matter of, do you want it to be a habit or are you wanting just a quick fix?
Right. Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So we looked at we did some research. We hit you with some science last
That's right.
episode, but we're hitting you with some psychology.
You're going to
this
learn
episode.
something here at House Dad's
Dang
podcast.
right you are. So we read I didn't read it, honestly, but this is what it's from, a 2010 study published in the European Journal of Social Psychology. But they were trying to figure out the length of time to form a new behavior.
Right.
Right. And they had a range. So You hear all the time, it takes this long to form a new habit, that long, and it's honestly differing things. It's kind
Right.
of frustrating. But they had a range, 18 days to 254 days.
Yeah, what happened to the? It takes 21 days to form a new habit.
That is it's a stinking long range there.
Right.
But they had an average of 66 days.
A lot
which is-
longer than the 21.
and that's the number I've heard a lot recently is or just overall is 66 days to form a new habit.
Right.
So hearing that, again, we ask the question, do these 30-day challenges work? Or
Right.
do
Does
they-
it
do they
stick?
hurt?
Does it last?
Does it stick and does it last? So if we succeed in those short-term challenges, you may be able to hit your 30 days, your 75 days, but is it actually helping?
I always heard not the 66 days. I always thought, oh, it takes 3 weeks. It takes 21 days to start a new habit.
Yeah.
Well, all those things I tried to do, none of them I continue to do consistently.
Yeah.
Everything it just fell
Just go
back
right
by the
back.
wayside. Exactly.
Go right back to it. And I think a lot of it, so for me with 75 hard or 33 medium hard, whatever you want to call it, there were so many changes in that. There were
Right.
like so many different things to
You
do.
were trying to do so many things at once.
It was a drastic change in lifestyle
Right.
and thought process. So I get that it created mental toughness, but does it last? So I think there's another variable in this of like the study is like how many behaviors are you trying to change
Right.
and how many things are you trying to adapt with your challenge, right? So got some statistics for you that really kind of put things into perspective and that the more it's almost common sense, but it's cool to have a number to it. The more behaviors you try to change at once, the less likely you are to adapt any change at all.
Makes sense.
So
right.
the stats go from if you're trying to change one behavior, you have about an 84% success rate. If you add another behavior in that, 2 behaviors, that's a success rate of 40%. So it drops literally
Half.
in half, 84 to 40. And if you try to do 3 or more behavior changes, you have a 3% success rate.
It's staggering.
It's literally like pointless.
Yeah, and I think that I get why people would want to do it. It's the same reason I would want to do it. Is that if you need that reset, if you need that big change, you're like, well, I know that I need to do this, this, and this, right? Like there's a long list of things that you want to reset. So you want to do all these different behavior changes. But what ends up happening is that actually ends up affecting less change than just focusing on one thing and changing it.
Yeah. And you're so focused on that short amount of time
Exactly.
that you are not thinking long term. So when we say behavior changes, like your success rate isn't like, in my opinion, isn't the 30 days or the 75 days.
Finish it.
It's long lasting.
That's right.
Like if you're changing a behavior, it's a long lasting thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
know?
Not changing it for the short term, but changing it for the long term.
Exactly. So yeah. So again, why do we do them? We do them for the boost. We do
Right.
them for
Right.
a hard reset. But I think it's important if you do. So don't get me wrong. We don't want this to be a discouraging podcast or
right.
discouraging topic to say don't even try to do these challenges. No, but it's important to think about some things if you do want to change some sort of behavior, whether it's lose weight, just go deeper spiritually, go deeper with your family, hit goals in your sales or your work. But we're going to talk some, I guess,
Practical
practicals
stuff.
of what you can do to achieve some of those things.
Yeah, I think the inverse of what it is also true. Like the reason that we usually end up developing the bad habits is not just because one time we're like, we're just going to go off the deep end
Yeah.
and just start going crazy into this bad habit.
Right.
Right. So the same way with our good habits, a lot of times we have good intentions, but when you try and just do all of it at once,
Right.
you end up just missing the mark. So what do you think, like, what is the better way to do it then? Not that it's all in all bad about doing it for 30 days or should have turned that off earlier. Thought we had do not disturb on. But anyway, if we had like a 30-day deal or a 75-day deal,
Yeah.
like what do you think are some of the things that we should do instead of doing, these shorter term time frame resets?
Yeah, I think the answers aren't going to be what people want because, again, one of the reasons people do these is because they want some sort of quick fix. But one thing that I have is just it sounds corny, but like give yourself some grace.
Yeah.
Like don't be so hard on yourself. It's important to be aware and to have the desire to change and have a new behavior. But man, don't beat yourself up over it. Like that's going to drive you into these like, oh, I got to go hard for 30 days and it's going to drive you back. It's going to be an endless cycle.
Right.
So just give yourself some grace
Yeah, it's huge.
to realize you're okay to, start small.
Yeah, and it's hard, especially in those seasons where I know a lot of times I've started something, and then it's like, okay, well, I'm going to start working on my diet or start working out a little bit better, and then it's like Thanksgiving. It's like you do have to kind of like look into the future of like what you're forecasting, like you said, even with the wedding, and so that's a part of shooting. If that's a part of the negative of starting these short-term goals
Mm-hmm.
is that they're always going to fluctuate based on their circumstances, whether it's Mardi Gras and it's king cake season or all these different things. Like if it's not something that's sustainable,
Yeah.
you know, you got to give yourself some grace and understand where you live.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like
Know
the
your
type of
surroundings.
food that you're going to get thrown in your face, and in what the season of life it's in as well.
Yeah, and I don't know if this goes along with giving yourself some grace, but like if you're doing something that's going to hinder other relationships, like when
Right.
thinking about a diet, how often do we like get asked to lunch or you go to lunch and like you make people feel bad because you want to do something healthy, and
Right.
sometimes you just say I don't want to go at all to prevent yourself from being tempted, but like it's okay to like, you know,
Yeah.
you don't want to hurt those relationships just to, I mean, yes, you want to hit your goal. And honestly, I feel like that could be a hot topic of people like, hey, if you want to hit your goal, make those sacrifices. But I think it's important for you to know
What are you sacrificing?
yeah, know your sacrifices, know your limit, but give yourself some grace on a lot of those things.
I agree, and I think that anytime we think about change and the change that we desire and that we want, it's that we got to understand that it just doesn't come like we want it quick.
Yep.
But if it came to us quick, it can leave us quick.
Exactly. And that was the next point of understanding nothing good ever come. If it were good, I mean, if it were easy and quick, I mean, golly, everybody would think and
Everybody
do
would
it.
do it.
So just kind of have that understanding that nothing can come or things can come quick, but like it doesn't often, like especially physical transformation, spiritual transformation. Good gracious, that can take even longer, but it doesn't have to be quick.
Right.
But if you have the desire and you want it, I mean, it's worth doing, whether it takes 30, 60, 90, 3 years.
Exactly.
Right. But just understand and know that nothing easy or nothing good comes easy or quick.
Right. Right. I think that's the biggest thing, and especially in today's day and age, like we just want instant gratification.
Yep.
You know, and that's not just y'all want instant gratification. That's especially these two people sitting here at this table, and especially me. I want things, and I kind of want
Yeah.
it now.
I want it
you know?
now.
I want to see those results quickly, and so you know, we compound our frustrations, and we don't give ourselves grace, and we want good things to happen quickly, but we have to understand that if it comes to us quick, it leaves us quick.
Exactly. Exactly. And then we're kind of touching back, doing a throwback from last episode. You know, start small
Right.
with some of these things that you desire to change. So start with one behavior. Even moving slowly is moving forward.
Still moving
right?
forward.
So
Yeah.
choose one thing that you think is going to best help you achieve what you want to achieve, and focus on that one behavior, and start small. You don't have to start with this huge long list of things. Just pick one.
Yeah, that's what Craig Rochelle does this every year. It's one of my favorite podcasts, and Chris Hodges does the same thing. He's got a great podcast, but you can listen to theirs after.
Yeah. Put ours first.
Yeah, but like Chris Hodges specifically, he talks about like one simple change that he can make every year. Like so, over the course of the year, 1 year for him, it was just he was going to work out 5 days a week. It was as simple as that. It wasn't very detailed. It wasn't very specific, but 5 days a week for the entire year, he was going to work out.
Yeah.
And so, like, that's something sustainable. That's something manageable. And it's also long-term to where at the end of that year, it's not like you fell back off that cliff.
Right.
That you could continue to do that, because then that small habit, we call it habit stacking, like
Right.
that small habit then became a lifestyle, and it became so much more, and it permeates and it carries over into the other areas of your life as well.
Yeah. And I think it's important too to have the perspective of like we're not always adding something. Like it's oftentimes what can we take out of our schedule
Yep.
to help us achieve that too. So whatever distractions are keeping you could be doing the things you need to do to an extent, but like there's something that we're doing that's also preventing us from hitting those goals.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So keeping in mind what's something I can just take off of my plate, small, to help me change that behavior.
Yeah.
Anything else to add before I go to the next one?
No. I think the next one
The
is
next
something.
one?
Yeah,
Man.
I'll tell you. Before you get into the positive, I negatively did this one time to where like everybody was in the middle of 75 hard and all these different deals, and so I was like, I'm gonna find my own, and I found one about like how quickly you could get from, I think it was like couch to 5K
Okay.
or something like that, and it was an app along with it. And then there was there was a book that I found and stuff, and so I told a couple of my buddies, I was like, hey, we're doing this. And they were like, okay.
Yeah.
And so for like my friends are awesome, because like the first week, they just jumped right in.
Yeah.
But I didn't even really give them any time to think about it.
Yeah.
I didn't even really give them an option.
No prep.
Just said, hey, we're doing this. And we all did it for about 4 days. And then that was it, and nobody did it after that. And so support systems are big, but don't do it like I did it and just say, y'all come on, we're doing
Yeah,
this.
it has to be a willing part on their end. But yeah, that's the last part, is to get a support system. Like when I did my 33 medium hard, like I kind of broadcasted it as a way of accountability. And I asked if anyone wanted to join me. And it's funny because I was like, tomorrow I'm doing this. Anybody want to
You didn't
join
have
me?
much time to think about it.
Yeah, but surprisingly, I had like a group of guys, like a handful of guys. I was like, dude, I'm in. I'm going to do it with you. We started a group text. And that was probably the sole reason. I mean, I didn't do it all perfectly, but we did it for the most part. But that like text thread, we would text each other in the morning at 5 a.m. Are you up? Are you up? We'd say, hey, I just got my workout in. Hey, I read my prop. Like it was a support system. So however that looks for you, that can be a group. That can be one person. That can be a coach. That can be a broker, a team leader, whatever. When you have your goals and you desire, bring someone in on it.
I think that's big. And I think that could be a challenge that we leave everybody with is I think most people, they get scared about asking other people things.
Yeah.
But if you just ask them, you'd be surprised who says yes.
Yeah.
You know, so if you have something on your heart and mind that you want to try, that you want to give a shot to, put that invitation out to some other folks like Rhett did, and you'd probably be surprised who said yes and say, hey, this is exactly what I needed. I wanted to be a part of something like this.
And maybe give them a little more heads up than a day.
Yeah, maybe than a day.
But-
or be like, hey, there's no option. You're just doing this. Don't tell them
Exactly.
that either. Don't tell them that either.
But yeah, getting a support system, accountability, if you want to call it that, is going to go a long way. So there's some practicals for you. And I think, some takeaways from this are just to encourage you, if you do have a desire to make some sort of behavior change or goal to reach, just start small.
Right.
But think about it when you end this podcast, like what's something that I can either add or take away that's going to help me, one thing that's going to help me achieve what I want to do.
Exactly. Yeah. I think it's going to help a lot of people. I think especially, we're still relatively new into 2023. And I think we've all kind of come into the year with different plans and desires and new goals and new habits that we want to form, and we overwhelm ourselves. And so hopefully this gives you some grace, even from us, to say, hey, we've tried a lot of it and failed, that sometimes you got to give yourself some grace and start smaller, right? But those smaller, accomplishable tasks over time can lead to some massive changes in your life.
Yeah. And so we didn't really answer the question directly. Do 30-day challenges work? Do they hurt? Do they help? I think that's for people to decide. I think if you go into it with the right intentions, they absolutely can work and give you that boost that you need to get to where you want to go. But don't think doing something for 30 days alone is just going to fix everything.
That's right. Right. Yeah, it's got to be small changes over time.
Yep.
So
it can hurt and it can help.
That's right.
Just whatever you want it to be.
Yep. Anything else you want to add?
No, man, and just kind of thinking about who can hold you accountable. If you are a realtor, if you're a salesperson, or if you're trying to lose weight, bring people in on what your goals are, and just find and think of people that can hold you accountable and support you.
Yeah, well, we would love to hear if this inspired you to potentially start something new. Maybe not just a challenge, but a new daily discipline, a new habit that you want to implement in your life, and hear about the group of people that you get alongside of you to do it. I'm telling you that if you just start these small changes in your life, you'll look back a year from now, 2 years from now, and you'll remember the beginning when you did that little thing and made that little change, and you'll see the massive difference that it makes in your life now. So give yourself some grace, but get a group of people around you. Start with something soon. It can be small. Make it accomplishable, and let us know about it. We love to hear it. Thank you for being here today. As always, continue to like and to share and to rate and all those different things. A lot of people have been telling me, wait, we can see you on Spotify?
Yeah, you can see people on Spotify
You can see us on Spotify. You can see us on YouTube. You can hear us on wherever else you can hear podcasts. So continue to just be along for the ride for us. And thank you so much for being here. We'll see you next time.